What's up, everyone? Welcome to the FAA podcast. Good to be here. A lot of stuff going on post combine. Yeah. So we'll start off with the headlines, trying to changing it up a little bit. So I have this shirt on right here. Eagles center Jason Kelce retiring today. I watched all 45 minutes of his press conference. And it was good. He perfectly embodies the city of Philadelphia. My friend texted me about it today, and I was like, yeah, I don't think any football player has ever made me tear up as much as he has throughout his career. Some of his interviews and the Kelce documentary is fantastic. But yeah, one of the greatest, if not the greatest Eagle of all time, definitely. And my time watching football, was able to watch every single game of his career, and hopefully he gets in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, love Jason Kelce.
Yeah, as a fan of even a different team, a team that has been heartbroken by the Eagles in the past. I mean, this guy was just the ultimate sign of class in this league. He was genuinely great on and off the field. You could see this guy just possessed one of the best sport personalities we've had in a long time. And I think the most impressive part of his career, not just, being a Super Bowl champ, all the all pros and Pro Bowls, and honestly, you can make a genuine argument for first ballot Hall of Famer. He transcended the sport into celebrity at a position where that was really unheard of. You see quarterbacks and wide receivers and you know running backs really make a name for themselves outside of the gridiron, but you never really see like offensive linemen get that mainstream attention. And then here came Jason Kelce, and he really just flipped that narrative on its head. He made himself into a great personality, a great ambassador for the sport and for the league and for the Eagles and for offensive linemen everywhere. I mean, it's not just, the occasional sideline interview. It's starting a podcast with his brother. It's being on live television and interviews and being able to just personify both unbelievable personality but incredible humbleness. And I think that's one thing I will always take away from Jason Kelce was like this man transcended the sport at a position where no one really transcends the sport. He did it in the most impressive way and the most, you know, respectful way. And I think that's something I'll always remember. He's just it's I've never met a single person that didn't like the guy. I that Kelsey documentary that you mentioned, I've watched it twice. I showed it to my mom just one day, and I even texted my mom today. I said, "Oh, see, Jason Kelce retired," and she goes, "Wasn't he the one that swore a lot in that documentary?" I was like, "Yeah, he's very passionate." And she goes, "Oh, I really liked him. I hope he does really well in retirement." I was like, "This woman doesn't know anything about football. She couldn't care less, but she loved, Jason Kelce, and that's just how great of a guy Jason was. So good luck in retirement. Look out for your health, Jason. And we look forward to him being in the spotlight in a different sense because he's not going away anytime soon."
Yeah, and the off the field person is really the thing that gets me a lot because of how you know out there he is on the camera, but behind the scenes, is such a family man. And him and his wife and their three daughters there helps the city of Philadelphia a lot. But I like him too because he's like me. I swear a lot and passionate about stuff. But you know, um,
I just love
On the
that the lasting image people will have is just him shirtless in Buffalo and him in a what's it kind of luchador mask at the Super Bowl
yeah.
after party. That will go down in infamy. I mean, what a way to go out.
Yeah, and also the amount of support he has for Travis is also awesome to see throughout their relationship. Both being coached by Andy Reid at one point in their career, but he also transcended the game in another way as well on the field. Undersized centers. He came out of Cincinnati at 280 pounds, and he mentioned during his presser today, like, if Howard Mudd wouldn't have been the offensive line coach with the Eagles at the time, he might not have been a Philadelphia Eagle because Howard Mudd didn't care about size; he cared about athleticism. So it made sense for an undersized center. And then Jeff Stoutland, he mentioned a lot about Jeff Stoutland, probably the greatest offensive line coach in NFL history. But gave a lot of credit to him as well for rejuvenating his career after a pretty poor 2016 season. Just the numbers on Kelce: 2011 sixth round pick of the Eagles, number 191 overall, was with the Eagles' entire career, 2011 to 2023. Won Super Bowl 52 with the Eagles in the 2017 season. 6-time first team All Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, 193 games in the regular season, all starts, started all 12 of his playoff appearances as well. But yeah, just a franchise pillar and an NFL pillar. And we'll see. We'll see what he does. He's got a lot of options, with the podcast still going. And then they mentioned, I was watching some of the post stuff as well. Mike Garafolo was talking about him on NFL Network, and it's like, if he wants to be in the Eagles organization, he'll be in the Eagles organization. He'll have a role. So
He'll have a landing spot. He definitely doesn't have to worry about that.
yeah. The Eagles could also be losing another pillar as well. Fletcher Cox, defensive tackle, expected to retire as well. So there's going to be big shift in the leadership on the player side, Philadelphia, this offseason. The other two big headlines coming today. Mike Evans is back in Tampa, 2 years, $52 million extension, $35 million guaranteed. We will get Mike his cha-ching there. I think it's an excellent deal, both sides. Mike wanted to retire a buck, and now he has that opportunity, and just entices now Baker to re-sign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like this signing a lot. Mike Evans has genuinely been the quietest superstar wide receiver probably ever. I mean, not a single season without 1,000 yards receiving. That's unbelievably impressive. I mean, he's the pinnacle of consistency at a position where once you get into those, early 30s, usually athleticism leaves and people at that position usually start to tail off, but he's just unbelievably consistent. He has some of the best hands I've ever seen. His route running is incredible, and it appears just bringing him back is just another just showing of just how important he is to this franchise. A franchise that when he came into the league and was drafted by this franchise was just kind of dead in the water. The Tampa Bay Bucks were just like one of the forgotten teams in Florida. Had that Super Bowl in 2002, but no one else really cared. And then he was part of the good and the bad, and he's experienced everything. And yeah, I can't think of anyone more deserving to be essentially the face of the franchise and get a very good contract at this point in his career.
Yeah, and he didn't. I mean, he would have had options in free agency for sure. But I don't think it really ever made sense for him to go to free agency. Like I said, he wants to retire a buck. And, at this point in his career, can take a tiny bit of a discount. It's not really a big discount, 26 per year over 2. But I think that it didn't really matter because he has a Super Bowl ring already.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't have to championship hunt like a lot of guys do late in their careers. So I think it's a good deal for them. And then finally, Russell Wilson is gone.
A dead cap hit.
Broncos expected to release the quarterback at the start of the new league year next week. If he is a post June 1 cut, it's $35.4 million in cap. Dead cap hit this year, $49.6 million next year, $82 million total over the next 2 seasons in dead money on the Broncos cap hit.
Yeah, that is it's crazy how the 2 of the top 5 dead cap salaries are both Russell Wilson. He's 1st and 5th with this new buyout, putting him over $85 million. This single $85 million dead cap hit is more than 2 and 3 combined. Like, this will be looked back on as genuinely one of the toughest pills to swallow in sports. I think this will probably be looked at in the same way that Albert Haynesworth was looked at when he was with the Redskins. Not because of lack of effort, but just because oh my God, how do you waste that much money on a guy that just completely forgot how to play the sport?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be looked at as a poor trade. The Seahawks made out pretty well on it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really understand letting him go this year. I understand there's a lot of question marks with the quarterback class in 2025. However, with the money situation and the fact that he did improve last year a lot from in the first season under Peyton, it just wasn't there yet. So I didn't really ever understand the whole 2024 release thing, especially because they're not in position right now to get a top quarterback. They're in the JJ McCarthy sweepstakes in that 11 to 13 range with the Vikings and Raiders. So, unless they go up and spend more draft capital
that they don't really have right now.
Right.
Yeah, to me, this tells me that Sean Payton really does not like Russ in his system, because that's my only rational explanation here, is that Peyton just doesn't like Russ in his system and would rather just let him go than have to even put him on the bench, So I don't. Again, I agree with you. I don't get this move. I don't get really just throwing out a player that at the very least can just get you through a season. It's not like, it's not like Russell Wilson was holding him back from the division or hell, even a wild card spot. In fact, if you want to make that argument, he kind of got him closer than any other QB would have. I mean, where were they last year? I mean, they're 7-10?
They went 8-9.
8-9. So I mean,
but
Yeah, I just
Yeah, I mean, he in his 2 seasons there, 5-12. Well, he didn't play all the games, I guess. But 4-11 as a starter in 15 games in 2022, 7-8 last year in 15 games as well. 2 different coaching staffs. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. But now it's like, all right, well, where does he go? Because again, I've heard friggin' Pittsburgh again, but
I've heard Vikings too.
I'd rather not.
Same. But I mean, again, it's just I look at his stats the last year too, and it's just the Broncos don't have a good offensive line either. He got sacked 100 times in 2 seasons.
Mhm.
Like the kid couldn't do anything. But even with having a bad offensive line, this last year he improved in QBR, quarterback rating. I mean, he was more efficient. He threw only 8 interceptions to 26 touchdowns. I mean, he had a 66% completion percentage. Like, you couldn't swallow this contract for another year, even if you wanted to get a rookie quarterback in the draft. Why not just have JJ McCarthy or Bo Nix or whoever you want to draft just sit behind him for a year?
Yeah, I think the issue is that the biggest thing was his $37 million in 2025 got guaranteed if he was on the roster
Oh, that is true.
the 5th day of the league year or something like that, 3rd or 5th day of the league year.
Yeah.
I think
Now,
that was the issue. Because otherwise, yeah, like they could spread that $49.6 million cap hit on in 2025 over 25 and 26, make it 20 something a piece. But yeah, you beat the guy to it on X. That Field Yates just reposted about the largest dead cap hits Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers combining for less than Russell Wilson. So yeah, we'll have to see where Russ goes. He's now probably QB2 in the free agent class now, behind Kirk Cousins. So.
yeah. Honestly, I might put him behind Baker Mayfield and make him QB3.
Yeah.
Although I don't see Baker really going anywhere but Tampa.
Right. And at least Russ has the ring.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll have a Danger Witch in his honor. I used to quote that word for word to Caroline, and she would attempt to punch me in the face as I tried to rehearse it while running around the apartment. Ever do anything dangerous? Whoa.
to the rest of the news. I think that's gonna play well. The highlight, the big breaking stories up at the front, right? UFL news though, couple transactions. These showboats swapping out some running backs, releasing former Oklahoma running back Kennedy Brooks for former Wyoming running back Titus Sven. I liked both. Sven beast at Wyoming. He is smaller, I believe, than Kennedy Brooks a little bit, but Kennedy Brooks pretty solid. Hopefully he lands on his feet there. And then the Renegades losing a big piece of their offensive line, placing offensive lineman Garrett McGinn on IR. So big hole to fill in the middle of their line there. College football, we got some rules proposals from the NCAA committee, rules committee. The biggest one, in-helmet communications, been being talked about a lot this offseason. So it would be the same as the NFL. One player on each side of the ball gets the green dot, and that player will have coach communications in their helmet. Turns off with 15 seconds left on the play clock or the snap, whichever comes first. Trying to combat the Michigan thing, but I like how Kirby Smart said when he was interviewed by Josh Pate on the late kick. He said it's not just about, the sign stealing thing. It's about college football advancing and becoming closer to the NFL, which I think is good. And I think it's ridiculous that we haven't had in helmet communications this long when the NFL's had it for I don't even know how long. They've had it the whole time I've watched NFL. So, but yeah, I think it's going to be good for college football.
Yeah, it just felt like such a backwards way of running a sport that is continually progressing in both skill and game planning, and especially for young quarterbacks and other college players that want to make the jump to the NFL, making the league more like the NFL in terms of just convenience and play-to-play operations just makes a lot of sense. I think this will benefit a lot of young players, especially once those young players make the jump to the NFL. They're going to be able to get used to how play calling schemes are in the NFL since they've had it in college.
Yeah, and I mean, not every team's going to do it.
Not every team.
Not every team. Every team has the option to do it if it does get approved. Mm-hmm. But Kirby Smart even said, like, not every team's going to do it. There are going to be some teams that like their current, putting the signs up and having all the signals in, and that's how they like to run their show, and that's how they're going to do it. But I think the teams that are at the top though are going to go to the in-helmet.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think it will definitely just be grandfathered in for a lot of offense approaches. Like they'll practice it in practice, but they won't do it in games. They'll just gradually get more and more used to it until the guys that are like freshmen when they started practicing for it are now starters. It's like, okay, we can transition to it since they're more used to it.
The next proposal that they have is also similar to the NFL: sideline tablets with in-game video available on them. Up to 18 tablets allowed on each sideline. Everyone can use them. It's going to be interesting though, because the article that I read said in-game video. So that makes me think it's going to be more like the XFL, where you can literally, fast forward, rewind video instead of what the NFL has. The NFL on their tablets only has still pictures that you can swipe through.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really interested to see if this gets approved, what the actual details of it, if it's going to be video or if it's going to be still pictures.
Yeah, we'll see.
And then the last one, again, getting to the NFL thing here. They're proposing a 2-minute automatic timeout during the second and fourth quarters. 2-minute warning in the NFL. Same thing, except they're calling it a 2-minute timeout at the 2-minute mark for their broadcast partners to know that they're going to get a timeout at that point in time of the game. And they want to eliminate like back-to-back timeout scenarios. I don't really. That's over my head. This is all the broadcasting crap. And the partners have to get their certain number of ads in and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, 2-minute warning, I like it.
Yeah.
Stops the game, sets the stage. Like, all right, it's getting real.
I agree. I like the 2-minute warning. And again, I think making the college game more like the NFL game in certain ways is a lot better, especially for development of players that are definitely going to try to make it to the NFL. This is great. And I've seen a lot of people not liking this, mostly because it's like, it takes away from the essence of college football. It's like, no, it doesn't. It really does not. It just, I don't get that argument.
Yeah, I'm sure those same people are saying that when they were watching the 3.5-hour games before last season, with the first down getting stopped outside of the last 5 minutes. Next we're gonna do 2 feet catch instead of 1 foot.
Honestly, could happen.
All right, NFL news. The NFL also has a proposal, another proposal going into their March league meetings coming up soon. The special teams coordinators have banded together. They are proposing a new kickoff rule for onside kicks. Can only do it when you're trailing in the fourth quarter, and you have to declare that you're going to onside beforehand. So no more Saints Super Bowl onside kick.
Yeah, I hope they deny this. I think this is complete BS. To completely handcuff teams and kick off creativity for the sake of what? I don't know. What's the sake of this? They're taking a risk. You should let teams take risks. They're exciting. They're good for the game. They're good for fans. I think this is a bad idea. I really hope it gets struck down almost unanimously, if not unanimously. I don't see the benefit of this rule. I don't see how this could possibly help. Like this sounds like I don't know. You ever play tag in elementary school, and that one kid always gets tags and throws a fit about it and starts creating like random rules to make sure they're not it. This sounds like a random team is bitching about like having onside kicks be successful against them, so they're trying to make every rule to make it not happen. So it's like, how about you just do better against onside kicks? Like,
Apparently, it was multiple special teams coordinators that.
oh, boo freaking who? How about be better at your job instead of trying to change the rules here?
Yeah, I agree. I don't really understand what the point of it is. They do something like that in the UFL as well. Except there they have the alternative onside kick that I would like. Combine. So one medical note at the combine. Bad news for Texas A&M wide receiver Anais Smith. He found out that he has a stress fracture in his. I think it was his leg. I can't remember. Can't remember if it was a foot or the lower leg. But, anyways, wasn't able to work out at the combine. Will work out at his pro day, hopefully, if that heals by then. So let's talk about the stars from days 2 through 4. We talked about the guys that I liked on day 1 for the D line, edge, and linebackers. Let's talk about some corners and safeties that worked out on Friday. So guys that I really thought stood out. Again, I wasn't able to watch the whole part of these ones. I'm trying to see corner wise, Quinyon Mitchell continues to rise. We mentioned him in the mock draft Monday. Hopefully, everyone watched that earlier today as it went live at 12 Eastern. 4.39 in the 40 or 4.33 for Quinyon Mitchell. Excellent. 38 on the vert as well. 20 on the bench as well. He had the most of any corner on the bench press as well. So fast and strong there for Quinyon. Another corner that I liked, what I saw, Mike Sanderstill from Michigan. I was surprised. He is one of the shortest, if not the short. Yeah, he's tied for the shortest, I believe, corner at the combine. 5'9", 182. But still ran well, 4.47, 40 inches on the vert. And he did well in all the other drills as well. On sub 7, 3-cone drill, 6.99 on that. Really interested in him. Probably going to play nickel at the next level. And then other than that, last guy, just Nate Wiggins from Clemson. 4.28 on the 40. Blazing speed. 6'1", 173. Got good size there. And should be one of the top corners in the draft. Safety wise, my guy Cole Bishop. I love Cole Bishop so much. Jimmy and I were watching USC Utah yesterday, and we saw Cole Bishop make a
dude. Cole Bishop was everywhere.
He made a play, blasted. I think it was Brendan Rice. But yeah, super fast. I know Daniel Jeremiah. I remember him saying he didn't expect him to run that fast. 4.45 on the 40, 39 on the vert. Excellent numbers there at 6'2", 206. So he's got size as well. He's going to be probably a single high, cover 3, cover 1 type of guy. Other than that, safety wise, I like Tyler Newbin as well, 6'1", 199 Minnesota. He didn't work out, or he didn't do any testing. He did work out a little bit, if I can remember that. Tyler Owens, Texas Tech. Such a shame he got injured during the workout. During his 40, wasn't able to get a time there because his jumps were ridiculous. 41 on the vert, 12.2 broad jump.
Damn.
That's just crazy. No one else jumped anywhere near 12 feet. So yeah, that one, he is crazy. Interested to see what his 40 time is at his pro day. And then Sione Vaki. I'm not a big fan of Vaki. We were talking in our scouting text group chat the other day when these guys were working out, and they were talking about Vaki from Utah there. I think he's going to be a running back in the NFL. Played both at Utah, was good at both. But I just don't see him as a safety. I mean, for one, he was the slowest or second slowest safety in terms of 40, so 4.62. But he did well on the vertical, 39.5 inches and 20 on the bench. So he has the power. I just think running back is better suited for him. And he has a running back body, 5'11", 210. That's really good size for a running back. The quarterbacks were on day 3 on Saturday. I wasn't able to watch a lot of the quarterback workouts or much of anything. Quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs. But in terms of just numbers wise, Keaton Slovis ran a pretty blazing speed 40 for the quarterbacks, 4.55 for the BYU quarterback. That's ridiculous for any quarterback, but this group didn't really. There was only 4 guys that ran. Other than that, Michael Pratt from Tulane, he had a 36-inch vert, pretty solid there. I will say, though, in the on-field drills, Michael Penix looked pretty decent the little bit that I did see him. And then Joe Milton had the throw of the day, though, on a bomb. I don't even know how far he threw it, but he threw it pretty far. And showing why he does have the biggest arm in the draft in this class, but it's very inconsistent.
Yeah, the key thing is just will it translate? So
yeah, he's not a lot. He doesn't have really a lot of movement. 35 on the vert, 10-1 on the broad. Pretty good numbers there, but didn't do the 3-cone or short shuttle or run because he probably would have ran very slow. Anyways, in terms of running backs, I didn't get to see any of the running backs work out. But strictly on numbers, I know Isaac Garendo from Louisville had an excellent day. 4.33 in the 40, 41.5 on the vert, 10.9 broad. Those are really solid numbers, and he was in the 98th percentile at every single thing that he did for the running backs wise. Your guy Bucky Irving was kind of disappointing numbers wise. 4.55 on the 40, sub 30 vert, sub 10-foot broad. Other than that, yeah, I didn't really have a lot for the running backs. I just know Isaac Garendo was a beast. I do want to say though, Braylon Allen, Wisconsin, 26 on the bench. It wasn't the top number for the running backs, but knew he was going to do well. He's a powerful runner. Blake Corum actually had the biggest bench number at 27, which he should, considering he has the shortest arms of all the running backs. Or actually, no, that's not true. He has the third shortest arms. Or no, fourth shortest arms. Dang, I didn't realize.
Oh, now he's out of medal contention.
28 and 7/8 inches on the arms. Yeah, there's three other guys that are shorter than him. You have Cody Schrader, who's 28 and an 1/8 inch arms. Jaden Sheridan from Monmouth, 28 and 3/4. And then Mayan Williams from Ohio State, 28 and 5/8. Anyways, wide receivers. These guys I did get to see a little bit work out. And it was all about X. Xavier Worthy was the star of the show. 4.21. Please be a Carolina Panther, Xavier.
Hey man, I'd be a little hesitant to say that though, because I mean, we saw the last big fast wide receiver in John Ross. He didn't work out.
Yeah, but John Ross was strictly a speedster. Xavier Worthy's so much more than that. 5'11". I was surprised at the weight for him. He's only 165. But I love Xavier Worthy's game. He did a lot of great stuff at Texas, and 41 on the vert, 10-11 on the broad. He can do it all. Really excited. Hopefully Panthers can get him at 33. Other guys that stood out for the wide receivers. Luke McCaffrey did well. He ran a 4.02 short shuttle, which is just ridiculous. The change of direction on Luke McCaffrey, excellent. I mean, 4.03 for Roma Dunze as well. He was also a star. Roma Dunze had a great day. 4.45 in the 40, 39 on the vert, 10.4 broad. And he stayed late. He was the last one off the field because he wanted to get a really good 3-cone drill. He ran a 6.88 officially in the 3-cone. He wanted a 6.6 time. Ran it 6 times. Was not able to get it. And then he finally left the field. I liked what I saw from Brian Thomas, too. 6'3", 209, 4.33 for him, 38.5 on the vert. Really like him as one of the bigger wide receivers in the class. And Devontae Walker from UNC, he had a good day. His on-field, the testing wasn't as important for him. It was his on-field catching the ball because he had drop issues at the Senior Bowl and a little bit at UNC. Did very well catching the ball, so that should help his stock there. And yeah, I don't really have much else for the wide receivers. And the big men worked out yesterday. I loved watching big men run in shorts. Yeah, let's go position by position. So center, dude, Tanner Bortolini, I love him. I want him for any of my 3 teams. He looked excellent, ran well, second fastest 40, 4.94 on the 40, 1.69 on the 10, 32.5 on the vert, 4.28 short shuttle. Excellent numbers there for the Wisconsin center. He really raised his stock especially with like a guy like Jackson Powers Johnson did a little bit, didn't really work out too much. Him and though Zach Frazier from West Virginia, those two, nobody expected Zach Frazier to even be working out because he got injured the last game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't do any testing, but he worked out, looked really good in the on-field drills. So those are two of the centers that I really like coming into the draft. Those two are definitely, I think, are up there now with Graham Barton from Duke and Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon. In terms of guard, let's see. The Michigan guys had a good day. Trevor Keegan looked pretty solid. I don't think I really noticed a lot of guards though. Cooper Beebe, he looked pretty decent. 503 on the 40. 461 in the short shuttle, so that's pretty solid. And then offensive tackle, though, this is where everyone was watching. Joe Alt, he looked as advertised. Much of the offensive tackles did. He looked really good. Talise Fuaga, I think he was my favorite offensive tackle to watch in the on-field drills. Really solid movement and very fluid there. Tyler Guyton, I was disappointed by him a little bit. I didn't think he moved as well. And also, they were saying about how he was a former tight end. Well, he didn't run very well. I know that doesn't matter as much for a line, but 519 on the 40, 176 on the 10-yard split, sub 9 broad jump. He jumped 811. So it's kind of disappointed on the athletic testing scores for him. I thought J.C. Latham looked pretty solid in the on-field. Roger Rosengarten, he's a guy that's been jumping up boards. He ended up being the fastest offensive lineman in the 40, 4.92. He looked pretty good out there moving. And then lastly, the locks. Frank Crum from Wyoming. I had known nothing about this man until he was at the combine, and he ended up tying Tanner Bortolini for second in the 40, 4.94, 31 and a half on the vert. Excellent numbers there, 4.73 in the short shuttle. And the locks, the golden locks just flowing as he ran. I really enjoyed watching Frank Crum from Wyoming. So those were my picks for the stars of each day there at each position. Oh, the Devils fired Lindy Ruff. Cool. Anyways,
I just saw that too, and every Devils fan in my feed is having the best day of their life.
Coaching.
But anyway, this isn't Hockey Addicts Anonymous. Let's get back to the regular scheduled programming.
Coaching carousel, the 49ers have filled the last coordinator position in the league, hiring defensive pass game specialist Nick Sorensen as defensive coordinator. They also made another interesting move on the defensive side. They hired former Chargers head coach Brandon Staley as the assistant head coach. So getting some experience there on Kyle Shanahan's staff. Franchise tag, the window is coming up. It should be this Friday, I believe, is the franchise tag deadline. And we only have one so far. Now we have two, though. T. Higgins. Now the Chiefs placing the non-exclusive franchise tag on corner L'Jarius Sneed. They have given him permission to seek trades. Please, Howie Roseman, pull the trigger.
Good luck with that.
Because we need it. But yeah, that one's going to be interesting to watch if he does get moved or not, if he plays on the tag this year. Free agency. This is like free agency slash there's some tag stuff in here, but a lot of stuff that came out of the combine as the insiders were getting their information from teams. The Cowboys left tackle Tyron Smith expected to hit free agency, not going to re-sign with Dallas. Kind of knew that was coming, but kind of official now. The Dolphins announcing today they will not be tagging defensive tackle Christian Wilkins, so he is going to hit free agency. Definitely the number one interior defensive lineman available in free agency. Yeah, sure. Why not?
I want him. I want him a lot. I think the Vikings' interior defensive line was rough last season, and he can just bring an immediate jolt.
Can they afford him, though?
Yeah, I mean, I think they can. Right now, they are, even before like cuts and contract
Hunter.
I don't know if we can retain Hunter.
Plus JJ making 30 a year.
Well, right now we're sitting at about 30 million before contract restructurings, re-signings, and most releases. So I think we can get it done. And knowing how good this kid is, and he's been in a Flores system before, I think it's a great match. I just hope the numbers make sense for both sides.
Sounds like there's a defensive tackle opening though now in Philadelphia as well. If Fletch does retire,
yeah, whatever.
Vic Fangio coached him last
year. Brian Flores is better.
The Falcons, they are the team. They are the team right now, apparently, that is interested in Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins in free agency. So it's the Falcons versus the Vikings.
Yeah.
Makes sense. In terms of Bears quarterback Justin Fields and his trade speculation, the teams apparently interested in him are the Falcons, Steelers, Raiders, and your Vikings as well. So, yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah, probably not getting traded in division.
No, I don't see it. I mean, there's so many free agent like placeholder quarterbacks. If we were to draft a quarterback in the first round, I don't feel like Fields would be a fit.
Yeah. I'm throwing the Steelers out too. So it looks like it's the Raiders.
That actually does make sense. He looks slick in those jerseys, I'll say.
Another team potentially in the quarterback mix, the Patriots. We talked about this yesterday when we recorded Mock Draft Monday. They could possibly sign a veteran and then trade number 3 to the Vikings.
That's what I had. That's my hypothetical in this situation. I had them trading with the Vikings taking Drake May, and then they sign a placeholder veteran. I just wonder who it would be. The obvious one would be Jimmy Garoppolo, but he's suspended for 2 games. But I don't know who else. Baker would be probably too expensive. Minshew could make sense.
Jacoby Brissett is the one I've been hearing for New England.
Ooh.
Yeah,
that could make sense. Another former Patriot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe.
Dangerous going to having the Pat Patriot.
They're feeling dangerous.
The Bears, not the Bears, the Bengals. They franchise tagged wide receiver T. Higgins. They are suspected, though, to be interested in trading him. So similar to the Chiefs, they're potentially in a tag and trade situation for T. Higgins. Both of those scenarios, though, I think are tough because, well, you got to give up the draft pick just to get the guy, but then you're also giving up money because you got to sign him to an extension.
That is true.
So it makes it a tricky negotiation in terms of compensation. I think Snead could get a first. I think you could get a first for Snead. I don't think, or at least I wouldn't pay a 1 for T. Higgins.
No, he's a second-round pick at most.
Yeah.
Who would make the most sense for T. Higgins? I think I'm just thinking. Who?
Not the Panthers.
Not the Panthers. No, I think they need to hang on to any draft capital they have left at this point. I'm just thinking of like the teams with the top.
The Jets.
Jets make a lot of sense because they need a wide receiver. I think the 3 teams with the most cap space make a lot of sense: Bears, Patriots, Commanders.
Yeah.
I think those teams make a ton of sense. So Jets, Bears, Patriots, Commanders, I think would make a ton of sense. They have decent draft capital. They have the cap space. I think he'll probably end up in one of those 4 teams.
Yeah, and I said a couple weeks ago about the Commanders signing T when he was going to be a free agent, because that makes too much sense with the amount of cap space they have. They already have players around. If they can get a quarterback to get them the ball, I mean, the Commanders could be dangerous.
Yeah, and I think that would help Terry McLaurin a lot. I feel like Terry McLaurin's, especially this last year, kind of took not a nosedive, but just a drop down in productivity. I think if you get T. Higgins, take some pressure off Scary Terry, I think you'd see a lot more productivity out of him.
Couple guys expected to get the tag: edge rushers, Panthers Brian Burns, and Jags Josh Allen. Super excited about that. Thankfully, Brian Burns not leaving Carolina, at least right now. Josh Allen coming off 17.5 sack season. Makes sense for that move in Jacksonville as well.
Mm-hmm.
The Panthers also, they are expected to either trade or release corner Dante Jackson. I don't really get it. They need to trade him if they do want to get rid of him, because he should have some value anyways. At the worst, the highest pick I think you could probably get is a 4 for him. Former second rounder though, so maybe you want to try to start there, recoup that. But yeah, I don't really get it. He's one of their better corners, so I don't know. Release the Bills. They are releasing running back Nyheim Hines. He's coming off torn ACL. So we'll see where Nyheim lands this offseason.
Here's the Sorry about that. Clicked on something. Did not mean to. Anyway, I got to hop off. I'll let you do the Mac Nation review.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Yeah. So the Mac here, the Maction, I had the Ohio Bobcats winning the Mac this year. Did not work out. They did get to the Mac championship game. Or no, they were close. They did not get there. They were so close though. The Miami, Ohio Redhawks winning the MAC championship, but Ohio finishing second in the East. I had them going 9-3. I believe that's what they did. Yeah, so they went 9-3, finishing just short of making the MAC title game, where I think hopefully they would have won it. But to no avail, just short there. Bobcat Nation rebound this year. The first big blunder I had was Eastern Michigan, 9-3 for me on the Eagles this year. They ended up going 6-6, so not very good on that one. Toledo, I did have Toledo winning the Western Division at 8-4, however. Or no, I had Eastern Michigan. Toledo, I had at 8-4 though. They ended up finishing at 11-1. The Rockets really good into Quan Finn's last season there with the Rockets. A couple games off on Toledo, so that was a tough one. Ball State, I had 6-6. They ended up 4-8. The Cardinals finishing second to last in the West. I was a little bit higher on the Cardinals this year than where they actually finished. Miami, Ohio, I did not see them winning the conference, let alone the Eastern Division. I had them at 6-6. They ended up winning. They went 10-2 this season, 7-1 in the conference. That was much higher than where I had them at. Kent State, I had them at 5-7. They ended up way worse, 1-11. So that was kind of crazy to watch Kent State be that bad. They were worse than Akron this year, finishing last overall in the MAC. Buffalo, the Bulls, I had them at 5-7. A little bit bullish on them because they went 3-9 this year. Just could not get it done. Now have new head coach Pete Lembo there in Buffalo this year. Hopefully the Bulls can improve off of 3-9. Bowling Green, the Falcons, I had them going 4-8. They surprised. They ended up going 7-5. The Falcons really surprising this season. I was kind of flip-flopped in terms of teams and records in the MAC this year, except for a couple. Central Michigan, 4-8 for me on the Chippewas. They ended up going 5-7, so just one game short there. Did finish last in the West, though, based off conference record and head-to-head with Western Michigan and Ball State. NIU, Rusty's Huskies, 3-9 for me. I'm happy to say, though, that Rusty's Huskies did end up a lot better. They ended up going 6-6, making a bowl game and winning it. Second in the West. So that one I'm okay with. Anytime Rusty's Huskies does well, love to see it. Western Michigan, 3-9 for me. They ended up going 4-8, a little bit above where I had them, fourth in the West, but so a lot higher than where I had them ending up overall in the conference. And then finally, Akron, 2-10. I had exactly that. They did end up one place above where I had them, though, finishing last in the conference. That honor went to the Kent State Golden Flashes, like I mentioned a bit earlier. Mountain West, I had the San Jose State Spartans winning the Mountain West. It did not work out. Chevin Cordero, I was really excited about him. They did make the Mountain West championship, or no, they did not make the Mountain West championship. They should have. They should have made the Mountain West championship game. But they did finish second, technically, in the Mountain West. Came down to like random choice tiebreaker thing. I don't even know what it was. But they did not get the opportunity to go to the Mountain West championship. That was Boise State and UNLV. 10-2 for me. They ended up 7-5 on the season. San Diego State, I had them finishing second. They were totally worse than I thought they were going to be. Jaden Mayava, or not Jaden Mayava, Jaden Maiden, yeah. Did not work out. The Aztecs ended up going 4-8, finishing last in the conference. I had them finishing second at 9-3. Boise State, the Broncos, 8-4 for me. They ended up going 7-5, so a little bit below what I had. They ended up winning the conference, though, which I did not have them in the championship game. Air Force, the Falcons here, 7-5 for me. They ended up really doing well, 8-4, so one game above where I had them. Love the Air Force Falcons. They were also in the conversation right up until the last day, last game, to see who would get into the Mountain West Championship. Wyoming, 6-6. Craig Bowles last season in Laramie, they went out with a bang. 8-4, 9-4. They won their bowl game. I was really impressed by Wyoming and what they were able to do. Again, Craig Bowles last season. Congrats on the retirement, coach. Fresno State, I had them going 6-6. I just did not think they were going to be the same after all the departures that they had. However, they ended up going 8-4. Really surprising there from the Bulldogs. I know my guy Isais was excited to watch them this last season. UNLV, I had them 5-7. They were another team that really surprised. They ended up going 9-3 in this one. they did a lot of great work there in Vegas this year. Like I said, that one was the Jaden Mayava team there, and over 3,000 yards passing for the Rebels. New Mexico 5-7 for the Lobos, just short of that for me. I had they ended up going 4-8, second to last in the conference there. I had them finishing fifth to last, so I was a little bit higher on the Lobos than where they actually ended up. Utah State, I had going 4-8. They ended up in a bowl game. They went 6-6. Yeah, so I had them going 4-8. They ended up going 6-6. The Aggies overachieving on my end. 4-8 for the Nevada Wolfpack. Not to be. They went 2-10. Horrendous season in Reno. They did end up finishing exactly where I had them, though, third to last because of the 2 conference wins they had over New Mexico and San Diego State. So at least I got that one right. Colorado State 3-9 for me, 5-7 in reality for the Rams. Yeah, I just did not believe a lot in them. And then Hawaii 3-9 for me. They ended up going 5-8. So I was kind of surprised on that front in terms of Hawaii and them being able to improve with Braden Shager at the quarterback position. So a couple wrong, some right, not very many, but that is my Mountain West and MAC recaps on my predictions from the preseason. So next Monday, we'll be back talking free agency because free agency will be upon us as the negotiating window begins next Monday. We'll also get you all your NCAA and NFL news, as well as finish up the show with my Sun Belt season recap, see how I did in those picks next Monday. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and X. FAA_bets on X as well. FAApodcast.com is our website. Check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and X, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and TikTok at Football Addicts and 9. Thank you for watching. We'll see y'all on Football Friday.